Chapter 1, Room 417. Daniel was a freelance writer looking for solitude. The Crestwood Hotel seemed perfect, quiet, inexpensive, and mostly empty. The clerk handed him a brass key and said one strange thing before Daniel went upstairs. "If you hear footsteps after 3 in the morning, don't look." Daniel laughed, assuming it was an attempt at humor. He stopped laughing on the third night. Chapter 2, The First Sighting. At exactly 3:07 a.m., Daniel woke to a soft click. His door had opened 2 inches. Cold air drifted into the room. He approached cautiously and looked into the hallway. At the far end stood a man in a dark suit. He was impossibly still. His face was hidden in shadow. Daniel blinked. The man was gone. Chapter 3, The Rules. The next morning, Daniel confronted the night clerk. The elderly man sighed heavily. "There are rules," he said. "Lock your door before midnight, ignore the footsteps, never step into the hallway after 3:07 a.m. If you see the man, close your eyes until the footsteps stop." Daniel asked what would happen if he didn't. The clerk answered quietly, "He gets closer." Chapter 4, Curiosity. For several nights, Daniel obeyed, but writers are curious by nature. On the 7th night, he left the door slightly open. At 3:07 a.m., footsteps echoed through the corridor, slow, measured. When Daniel looked, the man was halfway down the hall, closer than before. Then Daniel noticed something horrifying. The man had Daniel's face, only older, and filled with despair. Chapter 5, Newspaper Clippings. Daniel searched the hotel archives. In 1984, a journalist named Michael Harper disappeared from room 417. Michael Harper, Daniel's father, the father who vanished before Daniel was born. Among the articles was a handwritten note. "He keeps showing me what I become if I stay." Chapter 6, The Mirror. That night, Daniel saw the figure in his bathroom mirror before 3:07 a.m., standing behind him, whispering, "You were always meant to replace me." Daniel spun around. The room was empty, but the mirror reflected the hallway, and the man was waiting there. Chapter 7, The Truth. The night clerk finally revealed the secret. The hallway traps people consumed by unfinished stories. Your father came here searching for answers. He stepped into the corridor and took the man's place. Daniel asked if his father was still alive. The clerk looked away. Alive is not the right word. Chapter 8, The Last Walk. At 3:07 a.m., Daniel opened his door intentionally. The hallway stretched impossibly long. At the end stood his father, older, exhausted, trembling. "Don't let it keep us both," Michael said. Behind him loomed the faceless man. Daniel ran forward. The walls twisted, the lights shattered, the floor buckled beneath him. His father pressed an old notebook into Daniel's hands. "Finish the story," he whispered. Then he turned and walked into the darkness. The faceless man followed, and both disappeared. Chapter 9, Morning. Daniel awoke in room 417. The hotel was bustling and ordinary. The clerk was gone. No employee had ever heard of him. The notebook lay on Daniel's bed. Inside was a final sentence from his father. "Some doors open only when you are ready to let go." Chapter 10, 1 year later. Daniel published a best-selling novel titled The Man at the End of the Hallway. Readers praised its realism, but Daniel never told anyone the truth. Every anniversary of that night, he wakes at 3:07 a.m. He hears footsteps. They pass his bedroom door and continue down the hall, growing fainter each year, as if his father is finally moving on. Some hallways lead to rooms, some lead to memories, and some lead to the people we spend our lives searching for. If you ever wake in the middle of the night and see someone standing at the far end of the corridor, be careful. It might not be a stranger. It might be the person you were destined to become. Every apartment building has a hallway, a long, quiet corridor connecting one life to another. People pass through it every day without thinking. But in the old Maplewood apartments, residents of the third floor learned something terrifying. Sometimes, late at night, the hallway walked back. And if it stopped outside your door, it was already too late. Chapter 1. Emily Moves In. Emily Carter was 28 years old and ready for a fresh start. After a painful breakup and a stressful job in Boston, she rented a small apartment in Maplewood Apartments, Apartment 3B. The building was over 100 years old. The walls creaked, the pipes groaned, and the hallway outside her apartment stretched longer than it seemed possible. At one end stood the elevator. At the other, a single dusty window. Emily loved the quiet. For the first few days, everything felt normal, until the knocking started. Chapter 2. 3 knocks. The first time Emily heard it was at exactly 2:13 a.m. Knock, knock, knock. She sat up in bed. Her heart pounded. She checked her phone. 2:13 a.m. She opened the door. The hallway was empty. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. The next night, the same thing happened. 3 knocks, 2:13 a.m. Again, no one was there. By the fourth night, Emily asked her neighbor. Chapter 3. Mrs. Whitmore. Margaret Whitmore was an elderly woman in apartment 3A. When Emily mentioned the knocking, Mrs. Whitmore's face turned pale. "You opened the door?" Emily nodded. Mrs. Whitmore whispered, "Never do that again." Emily laughed nervously. "What are you talking about?" Mrs. Whitmore leaned closer. 20 years ago, a tenant in 3B disappeared. She kept hearing knocks in the hallway. She opened the door every night. Then one night, she stepped outside. And she was never seen again. Emily tried to dismiss it as superstition, but that night, she locked every bolt on her door and waited. Chapter 4. Footsteps. At 2:13 a.m., the knocking returned. Knock, knock, knock. Emily stayed in bed. Then she heard footsteps, slow, heavy, dragging across the hallway carpet. Step, drag, step, drag. The sound stopped directly outside her door. Silence. Then a voice, soft and distant. "Emily." She froze. No one in the building should know her voice. Then came scratching, long fingernails dragging against the wood, and then silence. At sunrise, she opened the door. 3 deep claw marks scarred the paint. Chapter 5. The security camera. Emily bought a camera and pointed it at her front door. The next morning, she reviewed the footage. At 2:13 a.m., her door shook with 3 knocks, but the hallway was empty. No one was visible. Then, frame by frame, a dark shape appeared. A silhouette, tall, thin, standing impossibly close to the camera. Its face was blank. Its mouth opened wider than humanly possible. And then it whispered, "Come into the hallway." The screen went black. The camera stopped recording. Chapter 6. Apartment History. Emily searched old newspaper archives. In 2003, a woman named Sarah Bennett vanished from apartment 3B. The police found her apartment untouched. The only strange detail, the hallway carpet outside her door was soaked with water. No source was ever found. Then Emily discovered something worse. Sarah had left a journal. The final entry read, "It knocks every night. The hallway gets longer each time I look. Tonight, it said my name." Chapter 7. The hallway changes. The next night, Emily peeked through the peephole. The hallway looked wrong, far longer than usual. The elevator at the end had disappeared. The lights flickered endlessly into darkness, and standing near the window was a woman, pale, motionless, Sarah Bennett. She raised one trembling hand and mouthed 2 words, "Don't follow." Then a shadow emerged behind her. It wrapped around her body and pulled her backward into the darkness. The hallway snapped back to normal. Emily screamed. Chapter 8. No Way Out. Emily packed a bag and tried to leave, but when she opened her apartment door, The hallway was not the third floor. It was endless. Door after door stretched into the distance, all labeled 3B, each door slightly different. From behind, some came crying, from others, whispers, and from one, Emily heard her own voice. "Help me!" She slammed the door shut. Chapter 9. The Secret. Mrs. Whitmore confessed the truth. "It feeds on loneliness," she said. "It chooses people who feel trapped. The hallway becomes a place between worlds. If you answer its call, it keeps you forever." "How do I stop it?" Emily asked. Mrs. Whitmore handed her a small brass key. "The first tenant buried this in the walls. It locks the door at the end of the hallway, but only one person can return." Chapter 10. 2:13 a.m. That night, Emily waited with the key. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the knocks came. Knock, knock, knock. She opened the door. The endless hallway awaited. Sarah Bennett stood at the far end. Beyond her, the shadow towered like smoke. Emily ran. The lights